Hi, the Mudbrooker here. Well, it's turning cold in Wisconsin. That means it's time for me to get the fire going. And since I got the cook stove going, I figured I might just as well do something useful with it. I am going to bake a cake, but not just any cake. I'll show you once I get back over by my mixer. Got all my stuff laid out here. The cake I'm going to make, and this is actually the first time I've tried making a cake entirely from scratch, so this could be fun. It's a recipe from this reprint of the 1893 Majestic Range Cookbook and Catalog. And it's a recipe for spice cake. I'll read it off here quick. 1 cup brown sugar, 1 cup molasses, 1 cup butter, 1 of milk, 1 nutmeg, 1 teaspoonful extract of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of cloves, 3 eggs, 4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and bake in a Majestic oven. Now anyway, I'm going to use for my cake pan this really cool old cake pan I got. This is a Swan's Down. Let me put my recipe down. Hopefully that'll show up good on the camera. Shows up better backwards, I guess. It's a Swan's Down cake flour pan. Makes better cakes. It has these little doors on the side. You slide them up, and it opens up a little slot in the bottom. And you notice that this centerpiece sticks up higher. That's so when your cake is done, you can flip it over, open the little air vents in the side, and that'll let air in behind it so your cake can fall out of the pan easier. Pretty slick little deal. Anyway, I'm going to use this Swan's Down cake pan, and I'll actually be using Swan's Down cake flour. Now, the Swan's Down brand name has been around for quite a while. That's quite an old pan, since 1894. I'm sure they're owned by some big conglomerate nowadays. But at any rate, cake flour has a lower level of gluten in it than all-purpose flour or bread flour. That means it'll have enough gluten to bind everything together, but it won't trap as much air as, say, bread flour would, and it won't get that bready texture. It'll have more of that fine, crumbly, cake-like texture. But anyway, I'm going to get to mixing here. I'll start off with my cup of brown sugar. Throw that in. And I'll add my cup of butter. That's 2 sticks. And I'm going to cream these together a bit so they get to mixing. Just let that beat together a little while. And now I'm going to add my 1 cup of molasses. Once that creams together a little better. That's a good enough start. I just didn't want everything all clumped together when I tried to mix it all up. Anyway, 1 cup of molasses. Set that aside. I'll start into mixing again. Three eggs. That one broke weird. Stop that a little bit. 1 nutmeg. Now I'm using fresh whole nutmegs. This is what, in case you're ever wondering, that's what a nutmeg looks like. Just a little kind of nut thing. They don't smell very strong until you start to grate them. Get this set aside. And you just grate them with one of these little lemon zesters. File it a little bit and it comes right off. But it smells really, really good when you do fresh nutmeg. And that's probably a tablespoon and a half. Fairly good dose of nutmeg. We'll get that in there. Where was I here? Here's my nutmeg. A teaspoon of cloves and a teaspoon of extract of cinnamon. Teaspoon of ground cloves. As I recall, this also calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder, so I'll add that. Where's my recipe? Yeah, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Something to know about baking powder. Always keep an eye on the best use by date. You wouldn't think so, seeing as how it's mostly just baking soda and salt. You wouldn't think it'd ever go bad, but it does. If you get much more than a year past the best by date, it'll probably go dead on you and things won't rise. I've had that problem. I've learned that the hard way, so even though I don't use a whole lot of baking powder, I keep an eye on it. And I would have bought a smaller container, but this is all they had at the store at the time. And now I need a teaspoon of cinnamon extract. I'm making some of my own cinnamon extract. It's pretty simple, it's just cinnamon sticks and vodka, but this won't be ready till about Christmas. So I got a little store-bought. Probably should open that before I started filming. Anyway. Whoops. That smells really nice. Where'd my flour go? That's over here. Okay, I'll start mixing this again. All I need now are my 4 cups of flour. And my 1 cup of milk. Double check my recipe, but I think I got everything. Molasses, butter, nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, 3 eggs. Yep. It's already making, let me get over here a little more so you can see better, making up a nice batter. I'll let this mix a little bit, then I will grease and flour the inside of this pan. And I'll come back when we're ready to get her popped in the oven. Well, that was brilliant. I floured and greased my pan, poured the batter in, and forgot to turn the camera on. At any rate, not sure how much this is going to rise. I don't really know what to expect from this cake. But I got it ready to go in the oven. And the batter by itself tastes pretty good. It's got... you really taste the molasses in it. There's quite a bit of molasses. And the nutmeg and clove really come through. It's kind of like gingerbread almost. But we'll see how this goes. And once I get everything moved over by the oven, I'll put her in the oven. Like I said, I don't know quite what to expect out of this cake. Haven't made it before. So I'll check on it every 15 minutes. Put her in the oven. Get her away from the fire. I might have to cover that with tin foil to keep the top from browning too much. But we'll see how it goes. I've had this fire going all day. You can see my temperature indicators right in the middle, which is a good place for it to be. It's not too excessively hot. and everything is heated through and it's got a nice stable fire going, so it should bake up pretty good. I'll be back in a few minutes when we check on it and see how it's doing. Alright, we're the first 15 minutes in, and have a look how I'm doing here. Not too bad. It's still pretty liquid, but you see it's starting to bake a bit. It doesn't seem to be cooking too much. You know, it doesn't look like it's going to burn on me right away anyhow. So I'll let it go another 15 minutes and see where we're at. We're a half hour in, and we'll see how we're doing. It's starting to look like it's getting done. I'll take my pokey stick here and see if it's done in the middle. I don't think so. It feels pretty soft. Yeah, the stick didn't come out clean, just batter on it. So that's going to take a bit more. I'll give her another 15 minutes. Doesn't look like it's overcooking though. Give her another turn. Close her up, back in another 15. Alright, 45 minutes in. She browned a little bit more than I wanted to on that one side, but I think we're done. Yeah, she's a little bit sloppy yet. So, what I'm going to do is turn it again. Oh yeah, she definitely burnt there a little bit. Turn it again. I'm going to cover it with tin foil, and probably should have did that at about the half hour mark. But I'm going to cover it with tin foil and let her go a little while longer. Alright, let's give her one more try. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have burnt more than what it was. Give her a poke. Poking this way. Alright, came out clean, so it's done. I'll get this out and we'll tip her out of its fancy little pan. Hope the sides didn't burn. Okay, I have two plates here. You'll see why in a minute. Let me get this. And I want to flip this upside down. I'll flip my little air vents open. And it should slide out. Yep. Stuck a little bit there on the one side, but pretty good otherwise. The outside of it doesn't look burnt, so that's nice. Probably should have covered it with tin foil at about the half hour mark. The other plate is so I can take it like this and carefully and swiftly flip it over right side up. Not thrilled with it being burnt, but other than that, the rest of it looks real nice. I'm going to let this cool off. I don't know if I'm going to make frosting for it or not. I do have an idea, one nice little glaze that'll work good for that. And I can just trim that burnt bit off. If you're going to frost it, it's real easy. You can just cut the top off nice and flat, get rid of the burnt part, frost the rest, and nobody's the wiser. But anyway, we'll let this cool off a while, and I'll be back. Alright, I have a cooled down, if slightly burnt cake. And what can you do with cake that's a little bit burnt? Well, you just cut the burnt bit off. If you're going to frost this, nobody will ever know but you and anybody you tell. And in this case, it's just me and whoever watches this. Yeah, I'm going to leave that. It's kind of a nice crispy bit. Get over here a little more. looks nice inside. Get these burnt bits off. And like I said, if I was going to frost this, just trim it off nice and level, frost it up. Nobody knows. Now, I'm not going to frost this. I'm actually going to make more of a glaze. Real simple. All you need is some honey, maybe 1/4 of a cup or so. This is kind of a eyeball measurement. Yeah, that should be a great plenty. Like I say, maybe about 1/4 cup of honey. And some powdered sugar. 2 or 3 tablespoons, more or less. What you want to do is make a thick paste out of this. If your cake is still a little bit warm, it'll kind of melt and it might soak in a bit. But that's okay. But you don't really want to. You want it to stay right there on the surface. Get this all stirred up. And then I'll need, I think, a little touch more of the powdered sugar, just to thicken her up some more. Maybe another teaspoon or so worth. Let's see what that does for us. Yeah. You just mix her up till it's nice and smooth, no lumps in it, and just drizzle it over your cake. Get a big spoonful. Go around the edge so it can run over the edge a bit. A little bit more. Should have got a little more around that inside hole so it could run down there. And now, grab myself a little plate. And a fork. And I'll cut myself a piece of this and see how it turned out. You can hear that outside is kind of crispy. That's okay. It's got a nice texture. It did rise fairly good. Yeah, that's nice. The molasses taste kind of settled down and cooked a little bit out, but it's got a real nice spicy to it. Nice molasses. It's a little bit like gingerbread, but it's a little bit different too. All in all, it's pretty good. I think this is a pretty decent cake. Nice recipe. Give it a try if you like. I'll put the recipe in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video, and go ahead and give this cake a try. I think you'll like it. I'll see you next time.